George Lopez has been making us laugh for decades, and now he's starring in a new movie about golf and God. We talked to him earlier, but first, check out a clip from his new film.
All of these lines are being crossed over the atmosphere.
Every major on the planet will be gunning for the $3 million prize.
Win the golf championship of the world entire.
Meet me at the Artesia Country Club bright and early.
That was the trailer for Walking with Herb, an inspirational movie about a man discovering second chances thanks to a heavenly messenger. Joining DBL is one of the movie stars. Please welcome George Lopez. Hello. Now, before we dive in, happy early birthday. And we wanted to know, is it true that you started your stand-up career on your birthday in '84 at the Comedy Store? If so, what do you remember from that very first set?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I had grown up and quit at everything that was very difficult in my life. And, you know, my baseball coach told me that I wouldn't be anything if I continued to be a quitter. And on my birthday in 1984, April 23rd, I went back with my tail between my legs to go see some guys who hadn't seen me in 4 years. And I said, I'm not going to quit no matter where I end up. And I'm glad that I learned it, but I didn't expect to learn any life lessons from any of my relatives.
George, before I get to my question, I need to say this. I've been a professional stand-up for 15 years. You are a huge influence on me. I bought your CDs. I listened to them over and over again. So I just want to tell you, as one comic that is now a host, it's because of comics like you, so I thank you. Then that's from the heart.
That's extremely kind.
There's kind of rumors that you might be retiring from stand-up, even though you dropped an hour special last summer. Do you see that being your last stand-up, and could you see yourself retiring and moving on to different things?
Yeah, man, I can see myself retiring from stand-up. I could see that as the last stand-up, but you know, stand-up was an engine that took me further than I ever imagined that I would have ever gone. And I couldn't have gone there alone. So it doesn't mean that I don't love it. It doesn't mean that I'll never appreciate it, because every morning that I get up, I thank the ability to make people laugh first. And, you know, I'm about to turn 60, and would I enjoy spending the next 10 years enjoying the things that I've been able to do the last 40 years? Yes.
You're an inspiration, just like Al said. I listen to you on all sorts of podcasts, the latest Bill and Bert's podcast, and you were talking about how you put in your head early on, right after you started doing stand-up, that you're going to have your own show. You're going to be the first Hispanic male with his own show, and you lived it, and you did it, and you put those words in your head, and you lived it, you walked the walk. What advice do you have for your daughter? Because she's coming up in the same path you are. She's getting famous on TikTok. She's a comedy writer. What advice do you have for her in this world?
You know, mine is a very talented young lady, but what I have that mine doesn't have is the heartache. So she says, you know, I'm not anywhere you were when you were 25, but I'm like, hey, listen, my heartache is mine. You have to find your motivation, and it can't be mine, father or not.
Wow, wise words, sir.
But I love her.
And she's funny. I love it. All right, George, everyone knows you're a golf guy, right? So working on this new movie must have been like heaven. Did the golf storyline draw you to the role because it's a slight departure from that sort of usual comedic work we see from you?
Now, JoJo hit me a nice fade. Sponge cake. I would say that I worked more on my acting game than I did on my golf game, and that's not a bad thing either, because I could have really been embarrassed by this movie, and no amount of editing would have been able to help that I was awful. But I don't think I was awful in this thing. I think I did great, and I think that if you're almost 60 like I am, and you continue to open people's eyes as to what you can and can't do, I don't know if there's a limit on things that I can and can't do.
I just want to listen to George Lopez over and over again, man.
George, a lot of people, you know, they look at you as like a funny guy, but you're truly inspirational, and I respect the hell out of that, man.
That's awesome.
If you make enough mistakes, you become inspirational.
It's true.
Jeff, you can do that. You're on your way, buddy. Thank you, George Lopez, for stopping by DBL. Walking with Herb is heading to theaters for a 3-day premiere event starting April 30th. So please make sure, check your local listings to get a ticket. DBL, we'll be right back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your kind words.